Hello, Dimitri.
Hello, Thodoris.
How are
Why?
you
Why are
today?
you so sad tonight? Why? We
No,
are in an
no,
amazing mood. An amazing
I'm
mood.
I'm not sad at all, my friend.
Okay,
Not at all.
because of the breath.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, no, no. It
Okay,
was just a breath.
just a breath, just a breath.
Yes.
Take my breath away, Thodoris, with our
Okay.
guest tonight. We
Yeah.
are in the air tonight with Thodoris.
And Dimitris?
Tonight, you have to subscribe.
Yes.
Tonight, you have to ring that bell
Okay.
down. Okay, so ring the bell, and watch all the other episodes of In the Air Tonight for our amazing guests. Tonight, Loris, we have a person that was something very extraordinary through the 90s, through the zeros, and nowadays.
We are very happy to have with us tonight Martin Ace Kent from Skunk. Hello,
Yay!
Ace.
Hello,
Hello.
Going good, yeah.
guys.
How are
Hello.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's like a strange time in London, but we're all healthy and surviving.
Okay. Thank you
That's
so much for being here with us tonight. It's
That's a
an
pleasure.
honor.
That's a
thank
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
We've been
What?
fans of yours and your band since the 90s, so
Wow.
it's
Yes.
great to have you here with us tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
let's
And
go
yeah,
right
yeah, we will
away to
start
our
with
first section.
yes, we will start with the first section of our show, which is one of the two top fives that you are about to tell us.
Mm.
And the first one is for your favorite five or your favorite albums.
Top five albums.
Wow. It's
Yes.
really hard, isn't it? So
Yes, we know that.
at the moment, I'm listening to a load of old stuff. But if I think of records that really stick in my mind,
Mhm.
I think Rage Against the Machine's first album.
Okay,
That
let's go. Let's go from number to number
yeah.
with a little explanation just for
Yes.
our viewers.
Okay, so Rage Against the Machine's first album, which is just called Rage Against the Machine, because when I heard this, it was revolutionary and it was really, really different. And I remember getting the white labels and playing it on vinyl and just going, "What is this? It's mad!" And that's kind of how I met Skin as well, because
Hmm.
I was playing at the white labels in a club and we were talking about this brand new band. They were so exciting. So in a way, I love that album, but also it was a really good way, kind of the way I started talking to Skin and then making her, mixtapes of new music from then.
Oh, that's great. So Skunk Anansie is based on your love of Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
That's
In
we
a
all
way.
yeah,
in a way.
we all love it as well. The whole band, that's one of those bands that everybody in the band really likes, you know.
Hmm.
And we managed to play with them a few times and meet them, throughout the 90s. And then recently with the Prophets of Rage, which is
Yeah,
another
amazing.
fantastic
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the next generation of Race Against the Machine, in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any cover of Rage Against the Machine with your band?
No, no, not at all. We
Oh,
never do any covers. We can't
you
learn them.
should. You should now. Okay, let's go
Okay.
to number four.
Or number four, yes.
Number four, I would say Led Zeppelin 2. Because Led Zeppelin 2 is just one of those landmark albums that you discover when you first start getting into rock music. So when I was about 12 or 13, we were looking for stuff to get into. That wasn't that old, that album at the time. So it was only what was it, 1971 or something like that album.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was, I was only about 10 or 11. It was only about 10 or 11 years old when I started getting into it. So it wasn't a classic old album. And it was just a brilliant record. It's just like ultra brilliant riff songs, really good performances, got a whole lot of love on it, which is probably my all-time favorite song. So for me, I think Led Zeppelin 2 just kind of summed up that time when I discovered music, and it was just one of those brilliant classic albums. And I still listen to it now. I still think it
Mm,
sounds just as amazing.
that's great. When you still hear something 30 years from now, it's something amazing. It's
Okay.
something that stands through time. So,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the magic of music.
Yeah, it is. And you think about that album now, it's 50 years old.
yeah,
Yeah,
Incredible, isn't it? And it's
indeed.
still being played everywhere and people still buy it and it still sounds really good,
amazing,
doesn't it?
of course. Now I'm thinking that when you have heard that album, it was a shorter term than your first album with Skunk and Nancy now. It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
amazing. Yes.
Exactly. When I first got like into rock music, a lot of the records and the bands, it wasn't that old.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People are looking now that's like 30, 40 years old. To me, it was current music, It was
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
I can't believe that. Okay,
Okay,
number 3.
number 3.
Number 3, I would say probably number 3, I really, really like Joni Mitchell, Blue. And the reason I say that is because it's an album that stayed with me my whole life. Since I've heard it, I've never stopped playing that record. I've never taken a break from it. I was listening to it the other day. I bought it on CD. Now I stream it off my phone. It's gone through all those mediums. The songs are really amazing, but her vocal performance and her lyrics on there is really something special. It's really one off. And even when you listen to you don't think about the guitar playing, but you listen to the guitar playing, you're like, oh my Lord, this is really, really difficult and really amazing. So the fact she sang and played like that at the same time with these really nice lyrics, but I think it was made at a time when people really, really meant what they were saying in music. And that's why, to me, just a vocal and a guitar and a piano, it stood the test of time. And it's just a beautiful album. It's full of emotion. Every time I listen to it, it takes me back to when I was the first day I listened to it. So Blue from Joni Mitchell has got to be, one of my all-time favorites.
Amazing choice.
Okay, so next choice.
Next choice. I'm not sure if it's like number 2 in the whole charts, but I really, really like Gary Moore. All right. And Gary Moore, because I just love his playing. I think his guitar playing is off the hook. It's fantastic. And so they've just brought out a record, obviously a posthumous record after he's died. I think it's Live in London, it's called.
Yeah. Live in Dublin.
Well, this one's in London, the new one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Just
it
come
was
out
in
on
London,
iTunes.
yes.
okay.
And it's fantastic. The playing on it is absolutely on fire. It was like the last recording he did, I think. And it's just you just couldn't beat that guy. I mean, there's Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he goes into my favorite guitar players and stuff. But that album, that's a recent thing I've been listening to. I absolutely love it just because of the way he plays, his aggressive style. So, rather than just choosing everything that was 40 years ago, I choose that one because that's like this year, and I'm really enjoying that.
Okay. Have you ever
Do you-
met him?
Yes, I have, and Cass played in a band with him as well. So I've met him a couple of times, and he was really cool. I really liked him.
Do you have a favorite era of Gary Moore's career? Gary Moore, sorry.
Yes, when he went into the blues. So when he got to Still Got the
Oh.
Blues, that era, I think that was for me, because I liked it before, and when he was in Thin Lizzy was really good, and and when he was doing his solo stuff, it was good. But when he went into the blues stuff and he really got into it, it was just amazing what he did. I just
Indeed, yes.
pushed it forwards. He pushed blues forwards. And if you listen to
Okay.
Joe Bonamassa now, he's basically a next step on from Gary Moore.
Yeah.
He's really similar.
I totally agree, but Thodoris doesn't. You
Yeah,
must know.
so and so. Okay.
I'm a big fan
I
of
don't.
Joe.
I don't like that much the blues in general.
Hmm.
It's not one of my favorite genres.
Well,
But
it's not,
okay,
it's not new, is it?
it's a personal taste of everyone. Okay.
Have you heard
So
his last? Sorry, Thodoris. Have you
yeah.
heard his last album, Royalty, of Joe?
Yeah, I've been listening to that this week.
Did you like it?
I liked it, but my favourite one is The Shade of Blue, right? But
me
the
too.
thing about Joe Bonamassa is every song he does sounds like someone else. So the opening track on this one sounds a bit like Led Zeppelin, and then there's another one that sounds like Jimi Hendrix Fire, and there's another one that sounds a bit like someone else. In all his albums, the different shades of blue. One sounds like Hotel California, he borrows his stuff, and then a lot of his solos sound a lot like Gary Moore. So
that's true.
He's a master at borrowing, but
That's
doing
true.
it to a
But
really
he's
good level.
amazing on that. Yeah, he's amazing on that.
I've got all of his records. I love him.
So we are right now in number 1.
Number 1. Well, Theodorus, you're going to be really happy because it's Motorhead.
I love you.
And it's Ace of Spades. It's the Ace of Spades. And I saw yesterday that they re-released it in a special box set or something.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But the Ace of Spades album to me is the best rock album ever made, just because it was the first concert I ever went to. So when I was 12 or 11 or 12, I went to see Motorhead in 1980 or 81 doing the Ace of Spades tour. And and that's what started me off in music. It started me off in a band, and it was the most powerful thing I've ever heard. And at the time, it was brand new. It was like punk rock meets heavy metal, and it just blew me away. And I was just a devoted Motorhead fan. Went to all the concerts, and then I ended up meeting Lemmy, and he became my friend for 20 years. So it was what an amazing story. That album just, you know, I've got pictures of me 12 years old wearing a Motorhead t-shirt like you with the Ace of Spades on the front.
Like you, but you are not 12, Thodoris.
No,
Yeah,
no,
you should
I'm 14.
yeah.
Okay, so let's go to our second part of the first section of our
Yeah.
show, which is about your inspirations about guitar players, of course. So
Yeah.
let's do some top 5 on guitar players.
Okay, so this is quite hard because I always keep
know that.
changing who I really love. So
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to put.
So
I'm gonna-
tonight,
yeah. So tonight, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
okay,
Right,
why?
Stevie, because he was just an unstoppable machine. When you see him playing guitar, it's like it's superhuman, right? And his tone was amazing, and the way he phrased things. But if you listen to Johnny Winter, right, you can see where Stevie Ray Vaughan got the licks from, right? That's but he played them better, you know. And so that's like you listen to Joe Bonamassa, Joe Bonamassa. It comes from Gary Moore, things like this. I can really identify where things come from, right? So I would say. Stevie Ray Vaughan, right? And then after that, obviously Gary Moore, because Gary Moore just is so aggressive. There's something really English about him. He seems to have this kind of passion the way he plays, which is very us. Okay, so those two go, I suppose, hand in hand because they're really good blues players, right? It's hard to choose 5, right?
Yes, but you
Jimmy
do.
Page.
Yeah.
Okay, Jimmy Page, right? Just
Another
because-
blues one. Another
Yeah.
blues one.
because he's just got the riffs and he was loose in his playing and organic, and you know his sounds were cool, and everything about Jimmy Page doesn't sound like a machine. Sounds like the guy lived it and breathed it, and if he felt like playing it differently, he just played it differently. You know, he wasn't set to to recreate everything all the time. It's fascinating to watch Jimmy Page, how loose he is, but he's so brilliant what he plays, his chords, his structures. He was a really accomplished musician, right? I think so.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Page, really, really good. So what am I? Is that 3? 3
Yes.
so far?
Two
Right.
more slots.
Two more. You know what? I would say Tom Morello, just because he did
Morello.
Rage Against the Machine, and you know he started it off. But I wouldn't say he was my favorite guitarist now, right? So I'll mention him on the side, right?
Okay.
But I really, really love, and this is going to be a weird one for you, Paul Kossoff from Free.
Oh, nice
Because
one.
so simple. His sound was so simple. He'd hold one note and he would just bend that note, and it adds so much feeling. So the simplicity of Kossoff and the sound of Kossoff. So when you look behind me, you can see a gold top on the wall there, right?
Wow.
I got
Wow.
that made to sound like Paul Kossoff. I got it handmade by the custom shop in PRS. I didn't buy a Gibson one off the shelf. Like I said, make me one to this spec. It's got 1959 Gibson wire in the pickups, right? All
Wow.
of these things, it's all custom made, and it sounds like Kossoff, right?
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
So that's how I really, really love Kossoff. And just because the simplicity of him always speaks to me, and I still listen to Free all the time. I was listening to Free yesterday, and that's 50 years old as well. And they had great songs. They're really sparse, loads of emotion, right? And it just lives with you. That it doesn't sound old. That stuff. It doesn't date to me.
Have you heard Paul Rogers with Queen when he was in Queen?
A little bit, but I can't really remember it. I'm kind of overtaken by Adam Lambert now because he kind of did. So I missed the Paul Rogers era. But you know, Bad Company, I was a big fan of Bad Company as well, with Mick Ralphs playing the guitar and stuff. But there was something about Kossoff. He just had soul in his playing, and something I've always wanted to be able to do. And even in Skunk, I tend to play really simple stuff with good sounds, and minimalist rather than complex fast stuff. I only do that when I need to. So that's Kossoff, right? So you want to know what number 1 is?
Of course, we're
The
dying
number
to
one-
find out.
Number 1 rock god, Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath.
Tony Iommi.
Okay.
Okay.
It's because Tony Iommi is so simple, but the way he plays and you know the tone of his guitar, right, and those riffs that they made up. I mean, look, Soundgarden to everybody are Black Sabbath clones, right? And you know, Tony's just amazing. I've met him a few times as well, and he's fantastic. And I've even played on his solo album with Skin. And something I'm really pleased to go out with him and have dinner and play on a record.
Wow.
So I was reinforced that he was a proper brilliant guy at the same time as he is just like this rock god. It's so simple and it's just brilliant. And that's the way I learned to play guitar. I'd listen to Sabbath and I would learn the riffs on one finger. And then I'd
Yeah.
play it on one finger, and then when I could get it to two fingers, I'd be playing with two fingers. And then I'd watch a video of him later on in life, and it was exactly the same way he played it. Right? And so I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, it sounds like him because that's the way he did it. You know, and
Yeah.
he chopped his fingers off as well, so that's kind of amazing too.
Don't
Do you
try
have
this at
it?
home.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do you have any specific Black Sabbath album that you like?
Yeah, Volume 4 is
Volume
really
4, okay.
good, right? A really, really good album. Master of Reality,
Of course.
really like that as well.
It's an underrated album. It's an
Yeah,
underrated album.
it's got Into the Void on there. That's an
Yeah.
amazing song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I really like also I like Technical Ecstasy. I think that's got some
Oh,
really good
really?
songs because Bill Ward sings on It's All Right, and then there's a lot of good songs on there. There's the Writ, and you know, I mean, I'm a big Sabbath fan. I have everything by Black Sabbath, right? And originally on all the vinyls, and now, you know, and then into CDs, but now I stream a lot on my phone. So, you know, and I still listen to Sabbath in the car. I have to say though, the best riff of all time has got to be Sweet Leaf, hasn't it? That's the one. The Sweet Leaf is the one. Every time I listen to it now, I'm just like, oh my lord, I wish I'd written that. My one riff.
let's go now to our section, to our second section of our show, which are some questions about you, your music, etc.
Yeah.
Our first question is, what ingredients made you as a band to be the headline of Glastonbury Festival?
I think the ingredients are obviously some good songs. You know, it has to start with a good song. If you haven't got a good song, really, you know, it's not going to happen for you. It doesn't matter how you record it, as long as you got a good song. So we had good songs. Then we had a really loyal kind of following of people because we were genuine. So I think being genuine and saying what you feel and standing up for your rights and doing things that you think morally are right, but you know, going against the grain, that's what we did. I think people respect you, so we got like a respected, loyal fan base around us. So songs, good fan base. The other thing I suppose is the attention we got because we crossed over in so many different areas. So we were playing concerts with Massive Attack at the same time as doing concerts with Rammstein and, you know, Slipknot. So we crossed so many different brackets that when it came to Glastonbury, they knew that we had a loyal fan base. We'd had a lot of hits at that time as well. So we're selling records. You definitely had to sell records, you know, and we had good songs. And at the same time, we appealed to a lot of people. So, you know, if they tried to put, you know, just a standard rock band on, maybe it wouldn't have worked. But because we were so crossover in certain areas, I think that's what pulled us in for Glastonbury.
Yeah, yeah. You
Do-
have.
Sorry,
Yes,
Dimitris.
Theodoris, yes.
Do you have any special memories from this festival that you want to share with us? And
You were the last headliner of 20th century, as
Yeah.
we've read about.
That's right. I mean, for me, it was quite terrifying because, you know, we flew in on the day and we had to go and headline the biggest concert, like by far we'd ever done in our life. So for me, I just remember being scared to death, doing the show and coming off and going, oh, what a relief. And then going onto the bus. And then we just stayed up and partied all night back to London.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and it was just, that's what I remember about it. Scared to death, playing a show. And then, but watching it back, you know, it was like, wow, that was quite a moment, you know, it was, but when you're actually in the moment of it for reality, it doesn't seem like you're playing Glastonbury. It just seems to be being scared to death on a gig. But saying that, this year just gone, last year, we played the Polish festival and it was 700,000 people. And that made Glastonbury look tiny. And that was scary.
Amazing.
okay,
Okay, so let's have an answer to something a little bit difficult. Is it a blessing or an element to be overcome when a band has such an charismatic and dominating figure as a vocalist?
No, it's the best thing that could ever happen to you, isn't it?
To you as a guitar player?
I think it's amazing. It's brilliant because, you know, that's like carries you. That front person is like, it's like when you drive a car in somewhere. The car might be full of people, but you don't see those people first. You see the wicked car. So if you've got this killer car coming in, everyone goes, wow. And then all the people get out and they go, wow, that's impressive. It's a bit like the singer, isn't it? The singer goes at the front and it's like kaboom, right? And everyone focuses on that, but behind is the engine, you know, and we work as a team. And so some bands can't accept that, you know, egos might make them go, well, it should be me. And, you know, and I heard that obviously people like Page and Plant always argue or something like this, right? But whose
Blackmore and Gillan.
yeah, whose band is it? But for me, it's quite obvious that Skin, she's stratospheric star, right? And we encourage that to shine. So, you know, we don't get funny if someone says we only want to talk to her in an interview, or she's, you know, the front of this. It's like, please go ahead, you know. You know, I'll go and have another beer in the restaurant while you go
Oh,
and do
nice.
that interview. So
We
yeah,
have
no, blessing.
we have the example of No Doubt for something like that back in the 90s, and the video clip of Don't Speak,
Yeah, yeah,
which is all about that. The person in the
yeah.
front row and the engine behind.
But that's because the bass player had some huge ego by the looks of it.
Yeah.
He was probably the one saying, "Let's make the video. Let's make the video so it looks that I'm not behind the lead singer."
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
it's like whatever. Who cares?
Of course.
Martin, as a band, have you ever felt kind of competitor with all these high-profile bands of the 90s?
I think you're always a competitor, you know, whether it's like friendly, you know, there's space for everyone, but you've got to be competitive because you've got to survive in that landscape of music. And so obviously with really good bands, it makes you step up to being a really good band too. So if we had to go on stage with the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Rage Against the Machine, like we have done, we had to make sure that we were as good as that band, you know, if not better than some bands. And so that's where, you know, we are competitive. We rehearse a lot. We make sure we write really good songs. We record well. We get the right team around us. That's our competitive edge. But we're not ruthless because we know we can do our thing. So we played loads of gigs with loads of really, really good bands and not felt, you know, even U2, you know, U2, Rammstein, all those people. We've never felt like, you know, the underdog musically. We might not have the biggest light show when we play with them, but we know that our playing is really, really up to standard. So that's our competitive edge. You know, that's where our egos come out.
Of course.
Okay.
So I'm doing some extra stuff on this question because I really want to ask that. What about this grunge era that you were playing music to? You were not a grunge band, of course, but everything was grunge back then. Have you ever been pressured to do something like that, to go to that direction of music?
Well, no, not really. I mean, you know, grunge to me was American, right? So, you know, Americans do their thing. And I think what Britain did really well was Sex Pistols and Black Sabbath, right? And then, you know, Soundgarden kind of copied Black Sabbath and Pearl Jam copied Led Zeppelin, you know, really brought us back that as grunge. So I saw them as American bands kind of bringing English music back to us. So I didn't feel the pressure to sound like an American band, right? And I think we knew that if we tried to sound like someone else or copy someone else or get in on the scene, it would just kill us off. So we had to just make our own music. And you think about all the classic bands from Sabbath to Zeppelin, they're all the same. They had to create something different to what was popular. Otherwise, they wouldn't have become so iconic, you know. So when Led Zeppelin came out, there wasn't like loads of Led Zeppelins, you know. And it's the same as us. We just stuck to what we wanted to do. But it was good, though, the scene, because we were kind of included in it at the same time because we were a rock band. So we got to play all these American tours and we played with practically, I think probably the only one we didn't really play with was Soundgarden. I don't think we played a gig with Soundgarden, but we played with Rage Against the Machine and Pearl Jam and tons of these wicked bands. And it was really brilliant to be around at that time.
Yeah, I have to tell you that back in the 90s, there is a word that rock was dead by grunge. But yeah, but some bands like yours that have rock ingredients and they think there's themselves as some continuing from the classic rock bands. They became that bridge from the classic rock of the 70s
Yeah.
to the survival of rock genre in the zeros. And that's something that is amazing about Skunk and Anansie.
Well, you think about it, we were all kids in the 70s, weren't we? So we grew up on that music. We just kind of interpreted it, took it in, and then brought it out in our own way. So it's like, you know, this 20 years ago of grunge, there'll be bands now that have watched that, got into it, and they'll interpret it in their way, and they'll they'll play stuff and I'll probably go, oh, that sounds like Soundgarden. But then I'll think, oh, Soundgarden was 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Amazing.
you know, like whereas I was like, when I heard Pearl Jam, I was like, that's like Led Zeppelin, you know, but Led Zeppelin was 20 years before them. So I think it's great that we absorb these things and then we bring them out, because all our childhood influences really is what we base our whole life around, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can anybody, how can an artist can overcome an absence of communication during some years due to drugs or anything like, or alcohol or something like that, and then create a new context, sorry, of creation?
I think it's because if you're creative, you're always creative. It's just things around you maybe bring that down for a while. So if you end up drinking, taking lots of drugs, that just stops your creativity. But really, you are a creative person if that's what you're into. So when these barriers come out of the way again, you become creative. It's like when you're a kid, there's no barriers. So you're writing music, you're playing stuff, and all sorts, and then all of a sudden you take on the weight of the world, you know, and you get problems and marriages break up and drink and drugs, and they just cloud creativity. They hold it down, and then sometimes people kind of get through that, and then it just comes out again. You know, the other thing is chemistry. People can be apart and nothing can happen, and you could put them in a room, and the next minute they've written an album. It's the chemistry between people, and what Skunk has is chemistry. You know, really good chemistry. When we we barely write a song ever on our own, right? And then we go in a room for a week and we'll write 10 songs. You know, we're like 1 or 2 songs a day, like that, because it's the inspiration. We don't even work that hard in a way. We'll play for about, I don't know, 7 hours. We won't even go like all through the day and night, and we'll write 2 songs in that time. You know, so that's my things.
And this is a talent too. It's not only chemistry, it's a talent. If you can write 10 in a room 10 songs, it's a great talent.
Yeah, well, I think this is it, isn't it? It's like if you look at anything like a job, it's like if you're really good at doing a job, you have a talent for it. And if you know, being a musician, it's still kind of a job, so you have to have a talent for it. If you don't have any talent, you might as well just go and work somewhere else.
Of course.
For some, it's not kind of a job, it is a job. For some others, it's kind of a job.
Well, for me,
Okay.
it never feels like a job. It's never felt like a job being in band for me. It's felt like a day off, right? From the, you know, but unfortunately, you know, with the COVID thing, and you know, we're all working. You know, we have to do jobs, and jobs suck.
Yeah. Yeah. So, who did the first move for the reconnection?
Reconnection. Well, Cass likes to claim that one, right, for the reconnection. We were all around in the same place at the same time. So I lived like on the same street as Cass, so I used to see him. Mark used to rehearse in some rehearsal rooms that I was in. So I saw Mark in a rehearsal room. Mark and Cass also knew each other through another band member or something like this. Skin saw Mark because he played on a record and he went on tour with another band with the support for her, and Cass just never lost contact with Skin, right? So I was the only one that didn't really have much contact with Skin in that time. I went off, I had a baby, I sorted out, I started a production career, I had opened the studio, all these things like that. So my thing was, my contact was quite sparse with the band. Right, but then we just all got together, and one day Skin just rang me up out of the blue, and she just said, "I'm DJing in town. Do you want to come down?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we went down, and we got really, really drunk, and then it was like, "Hey, we should put the band back together." And I was like, "Yeah, man." And then the next thing you know, next week we were practically on tour.
There's always something that has to do with alcohol.
Yeah, yeah. And I quit. I had a job, and I quit it the next day.
Really?
I went in and said,
Wow.
"Sorry, man, can't do this anymore. Bye."
What kind of job?
A radio station.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Okay.
You own the radio station.
No, I was a DJ there. I had
got
an
it.
evening show. So I was the same as Demetrius. I was a teacher in the daytime, and then I was doing a radio show in the evening. And so I just went in and I said, I can't do this anymore. Band's back together, and literally left. But what I didn't know is, I didn't have any money so I had to go and borrow it for a year.
Amazing. So let's go to a technical one. You are known for your love for pedals, for so many pedals.
Yeah.
Have you ever been tempted to have a Kemper or FX profiler?
I've got one. I've actually got
Oh,
two Kempers. Yeah, I've got everything. So I'm actually sat in my studio here actually, and this is like my little couch area, right? And you can kind of see, look, there's guitars all around, and and there's some amps and things like that. But Yeah, I've got a profiler, but with my profiler, I only use it for like demos and I use it backstage and things like that. I don't use it for the real recordings because I like to use real amps. And on stage, real amps still sound better,
of course,
you
of
know.
course.
But the profiler, what I did do is I took it to a proper studio with all of the original Skunk Anansie amps, and I mic'd it up and I matched it exactly. So the profiles are dead on, and I gave them away, so you can get them for
Mm,
free on Kemper. All right.
really?
Yeah, and
Oh,
I know some famous people who I won't mention who said to me, "I use your profiles."
oh, I'm going now to download it.
Yeah, so go to Camper, look for the Ace rig pack. It's got all the original Skunk amps, the 900, the 800, the Vox, the ones that you see in this room. They're in there.
Wow.
That Marshall, that Vox is in there. I've got the 900, the Cornfords up there, the Koch. They're all there, and it's the best sounding rig pack of the whole lot.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
Tell us, right now you are in your room or you are in a mini museum of Skananaski?
No, no. You know what? If I went, I've got a lockup. If I went to my lockup, then it would be a mini museum,
Oh,
right?
Oh, okay.
It would be a guitar museum. So
Okay.
we've got an archive where we keep like vinyls and T-shirts and posters and things like that and discs and stuff. So there is a place there, but I've also got I could fit them in this room, but I would just have no space. But I've got tons and tons of guitars and amps that I've collected over the years, which I love too much, and that's my spoils of war of being in this band.
yeah.
Is that my one love is guitars and pedals.
Yes, yes, we know that.
Um, do you believe that MTV uh, back in these days, for you it was the only promo weapon you have, and if it was, what do you think it's today is nowadays
Promo
a
weapon.
promo weapon? Yes, for an artist.
Well, it's so fragmented now. So back in the day, MTV, yeah, was amazing. If you got your stuff on MTV, everyone was watching it, right? It was a music channel and it was the only one. So basically, you get your stuff on MTV, that kind of where you become famous. I remember seeing our first video come up on MTV, and not long after that, we were playing sold out venues. So it was really important. But these days, obviously, MTV, I never watch it because it's not got music on it, right? But it's so fragmented. I mean, you can go to Spotify, you can go to Apple Music, you can go to Deezer, Tidal. It's kind of everywhere. So people kind of go, "Oh, has that band got a new album out?" And it could be quite a famous band, right? But you don't even know they've got a new album out, because it's lost in all
Indeed,
the things.
yes.
Yeah.
Whereas in the old days, it's like when Soundgarden dropped an album, it was on MTV and that was it. So I think MTV was a fantastic thing, but they did have their rules, didn't they? So what they used to do is they used to make you spend a certain amount of money on a video. You couldn't get a video on there unless you spent like 50 to £100,000 on it. So
Yeah.
you really had to pay to get on that channel.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Have you ever recognized a band as a child of Skunk Anansie?
You know what? Not really. I think we've been really lucky as we've been the only one. You know what I mean? There's only been one Skunk. I've never really thought of
Hmm.
a band that's really like us. We've got people that say they like us, and I'm
Yeah.
quite surprised. Some bands go, "Oh my God, we love your band," and I'm like, "Really? I would never have thought that." Do you know what I mean? We've got loads of cover bands. There's loads of Skunk Nancy cover bands for a start.
Yeah.
But people like things are where they go, "We really love your band," and like, "Oh, I never would have thought that." They always amazes me, bands that say they're influenced by us, but they never sound like us. But then I suppose that's because there's only one skin, isn't there? You
Yeah,
know
of
what I
course.
mean? There's only one skin, so it's very hard to have a band that sounds like us because the vocals are so prominent.
But I think that many bands, sorry, Floris,
Yeah.
many bands of zeros have tried to impersonate your music. I think that many albums, now I'm gonna tell something that it's a little bit weird, but I think that Matt Bellamy
Oh yeah,
of
yeah.
News many times have tried to do something with his falsetto that reminds me of Skin,
Oh, and
that
it's been.
reminds me of Skunk Anansie style of constructing a song.
Well, we took them out on tour, Muse, when they first started.
So
So that
that's the bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were our support band, and by the end of it, they were playing big riffs. right?
So,
So, so,
I'm right. I'm
so,
right.
so maybe, I think maybe. I mean, they are fantastic, man. And what a
Yeah,
guitar player! Oh my
of course.
God, he's this amazing singer, right? But his guitar playing is off the hook, isn't it? It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah, I
true.
mean, they're. I mean, last time I saw them play, honestly, I mean, we know those guys. It's just amazing. They are amazing. But that's flattery, I suppose, because I never really thought of it that way. But I know that they definitely went. We were a lot heavier when we went out with them than they were.
What is or was your best or and worst moment during a concert?
Oh, best moment
Not
was
as a fan. Okay.
in the band. Best moment I would have said was probably last year when we played that concert to 700,000 people in Polish Woodstock. Thought that was really so thrilling. It was just incredible, and to walk off, it was like, oh my lord, we slayed that, and it was Skin's birthday. It was just like I think I was mature enough to deal with that pressure to enjoy it. I think that's probably one of the best moments. One of the worst moments. I mean, I only had a couple of concerts where everything breaks, you know, and
Yeah.
so there was a concert where I think everything broke, and we were supporting the Smashing Pumpkins, and it just was, everything. The lead broke, the guitar broke, the amp broke, and you end up playing something acoustic in the end, and it was such a big concert. It was just like, So I think that was probably the worst moments. But we've been lucky. We haven't had many of those. We've been really lucky to have really good gigs.
How can a band that survived through music industry for almost 30 years now can find a way to approach a new and younger audience?
Oh, TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
I hate TikTok. I
TikTok.
love TikTok.
What about the music? What about the music?
You know what? I think that what happens is if you keep making modern music and original music, what happens is your older fan base will like it because they don't get bored. They don't go, "Oh, the album's like the last one. I wanted something different." So that keeps it fresh in that sense. But also, a younger fan base is not associating you with something you did 20 years ago. They're associating with what you're doing now, and you also get this added factor of you become a bit classic that people hear about you, and then they listen to music from there as well. So our 25 years legacy helps us to get new fans as well, because people are like, oh, if we mentioned a band that's been going that long, people think, oh well, I must listen to that to see what it's like. And then we're doing modern fresh music, they go, oh, I can kind of get into this because it's their album at that time. It's not
Yeah.
20 years ago that they don't relate to. They relate to, oh, it's modern, it's happening now, I like this band. And I don't know, that's probably one of the reasons.
Okay. Floris?
Is there a recording future for the band for Scan and Anansie?
Yeah, totally. We've written a whole
That's
bunch of songs.
oh,
We've written a bunch of new songs. We just can't get to record them because of the COVID. Every time we try to get in a studio, the place is closed. So we were booked in, I think it was April, to go in and record the next couple of singles,
Oh,
and
oh,
we couldn't do it. So we do have a bunch of songs. We were writing in February. We were all together writing songs, and so
okay.
March and February.
And what about you? Do you have any thoughts of releasing a solo album or not?
No, you know what? I did that a long time ago, and I realized, to be honest, the best thing I ever do is with the band,
oh,
right? And my thing is, like, if I'm going to do one thing good, just do it with the band. If I go out and want to play a Gary Moore style gig blues, that's one thing, you know.
yeah.
But
Okay.
for like proper bands and solo albums, I don't think I could go through it. I need my buddies,
Yeah.
my comrades, to go through that struggle and that fight and that battle to make it work.
You are
What?
totally,
Yeah.
sorry, Floris, you are
Yeah.
totally a team player. That's
Yes,
what
Yes.
I've understood.
100%.
Or you can make an album only with covers
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
favorite guitar players.
yeah. It's true, but I would be bored of that myself.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So, Ace, now that we came to the end of our show,
okay.
I would love to ask you something very difficult, and you are free to tell me no, of course.
Yeah,
If there is any possibility to
yeah.
have some riffs from you now, do you have any guitar there, any acoustic guitar?
Oh my God, hold on a sec. I do have
Yeah,
acoustic guitar.
yeah. I think that it's difficult. Only if you can. Only if you can.
Okay, right. Okay, so this is putting me on the spot now, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't even know if it's in tune, okay? So
Okay. We
here it's,
can. You can take all the time of the world because we can edit it
oh
afterwards.
God, I'd rather just
So
go for it. So I've got to pick
tune.
it. So it's in tune, okay? Because I was playing it the other day. There's one. That's a classic one, isn't it? How about this one? So there's the other one. There's the riff.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Thank you
this.
so much.
That's one I thought of earlier.
That's yours. That's yours.
Yeah, that's yours. Yeah.
From your early era. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've always got a guitar to hand. I mean, one of my favourite Skunk riffs, if I can remember it, is Skank Heads. I really like that. And this is a good one. So I Can Dream, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good riff.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It was an amazing closing to our
Yes,
show
thank
tonight.
you.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and for being here.
Thank you. I really enjoy talking about music. I mean, you can go to lots of different interviews and some people can talk about, politics and this all night, which is
Oh,
great.
no.
It's fine. But, the thing about me is I'm passion driven by music. That's why I do it.
We too, Martin. Yes.
As you can see.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm also one of those, you can tell, one of those encyclopedic people that when you go, oh, you talk about this, and I go, yeah, that's that, and Stevie Ray Vaughan is, him, and he's that, and that comes from this album, and Technical Ecstasy has this. I'm a super fan too.
We are geeks. We are geeks of
Yes.
music.
And the only aim we have is to talk about music, nothing else.
Excellent.
So, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. We hope that we will be listening to your music very soon.
Yep.
And we hope that we will have the chance to watch you performing live someday soon.
Yeah, me too. The first song I want to play is the latest single. This Means War. That's the riff I want to play. When we start again, it's like
the intro song. The intro song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so
And
much.
when you release the album, it will be our pleasure to have another interview talking only for the album.
Yeah, totally. I'd love it. Well, thank you very much, guys, as well. Thanks. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening to you too. Bye. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.
And I think you will agree with me that it was such a nice guy.
An amazing guy, an amazing guitar player, an amazing musician, and of course a geek like we are about music. Yes, we have had an amazing chat about Skunk Anansie, of course, about his love for some guitar players, his best albums, and I think that we have found another amazing guest in our show tonight.
And I think that the new album, will be very, very nice.
Of course it will be, because it has all the ingredients, all the basic members of Skunk Anansie, and of course Skin, which is an amazing and charismatic vocalist that we love to listen to. It was In the Air Tonight with Thodoris
and Dimitris,
a weekly music broadcast with amazing guests. Tonight it was Martin A. Skent from Skunk Anansie. Please don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. Listen to that sound. Glin, glin. Don't forget to get all the notifications from our channel. Thank you for being here with us tonight. From Thodoris
and Dimitri. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye-bye.